Hey guys, Lee Sanders here from the RCWR Show, covering all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011, coming at you all with some breaking news for Tuesday, January 29th, 2019. So, we've heard the rumblings about Dean Ambrose leaving the WWE. Yes, Dean Ambrose leaving WWE, but as of 5 p.m. Eastern, officially, WWE has released a statement confirming that Dean Ambrose, real name Jonathan David Good, will in fact be leaving the company after his contract expires April of this year. Yes, I wish I was pulling you all's leg right now. I wish I was trolling you all. But when you go on WWE's website, now it's on the home page, but WWE has not plastered it as far as, look at this big splash page image. You basically, at the time right now that we're recording this, you basically see the image of Brock Lesnar F5ing Seth Rollins. And then right up under that, you see Becky Lynch challenging Ronda Rousey. The next image, you see Seth Rollins fighting Dean Ambrose, as that was a match that had began earlier in the night. And you see another image where it's highlighting Natty teaming up with Dana Brooke to face Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan. And right up under that, you see trending WWE news. And the very first thing that you see is 4 little small thumbnails. But the very first one is full details on Dean Ambrose's future in WWE. Now, WWE would release this statement. I'll read it to you all. And afterwards, I will give my candid thoughts with regards to this situation. But WWE says, and I quote, Dean Ambrose, Jonathan Good, will not be renewing his contract with WWE when it expires in April. We are grateful and appreciative of all that Dean has given to WWE and our fans. We wish him well and hope that one day Dean will return to WWE. So, there you have it. I have to say, this is unprecedented. As long as I have been a wrestling fan, as long as, like many of you all out there have made the rounds, checking out what's going on with the WWE.com website, looking for fun little tidbits of news, checking out exclusive videos, things of that nature. In the past, we have heard of WWE has come to terms on the release of XYZ. We have always been in a position where we've heard rumblings that, hey, this talent may be signing on with the WWE, or this talent may be leaving the company when their contract expires with WWE. But we have never, ever heard of WWE confirming the rumors that are out there. And so the fact that this has been out there in the open and it's been on the tip of the tongue of many podcasters, vloggers, websites, etc. And for WWE to officially put this statement out there, you just go, wow, what the hell? Now, let's rewind it back just a little bit. You had reports that were initially put out there leading up to this that apparently over the Royal Rumble weekend, Dean Ambrose had met one-on-one with the chairman, Vince McMahon, and expressed to him, hey, I'm not going to be renewing with you guys. And they offered him a lot of money, from what I understand, basically reacting to the news that came about, right? Same information that you all had access. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to take what's being put out there with a grain of salt, but you kind of almost, through process of elimination and just doing some deep soul searching, would have to feel in your bones that, this feels legit. This feels the right way that it's going. Nothing feels fabricated. Nothing feels misleading. But until we hear it from the horse's mouth, all right, we'll take it for what it's worth. But supposedly he met with Vince McMahon, told him that he was not going to be renewing with the company, despite the fact that they wanted to lock him up for 5 years. The money was said to be really, really good. but Dean Ambrose shot it down. And one of the main reasons why he shot this deal down is because creatively, he has just been frustrated with the direction of his character. He doesn't like the hokiness, the wacky crap that's been happening with his character. And at the end of the day, I totally look, I'm not going to tell somebody what they need to do with their lives, much like I don't like somebody to tell me what I need to do with my life. It's one thing if you're a very close friend of mine or you're a family member and I'm tight with you like that and I value your opinion, I respect the hell out of you. That's one thing, right? Then I'm going to listen. But just to have all of this out there about Dean, I just can't help but feel for the guy, but at the same time give him mad respect. Apparently, Dean Ambrose told only a close handful of friends, his immediate inner circle, that he knew was not going to be going out to the websites and the podcasts, putting this information out there, and told them what his move was going to be, as eventually he would have that one-on-one meeting with Vince McMahon. And this is where we stand right now. And now that this information is out there, you can't help but wonder, going to the road of WrestleMania, just how exactly is Dean Ambrose going to be given his swan song. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a hot second. I'll definitely tease it a little bit, but we'll see how far along we go with this. Now, look, I have been paying attention to the work of Dean Ambrose, Jonathan Good, for a good minute now. I've seen a little bit of his stuff, Heartland Wrestling Association. Definitely seen his work in CZW, in Ring of Honor for a hot little bit. He also did a little bit of stuff for Full Impact Pro. So I'm very familiar. And of course, we all infamously know this guy as Jon Moxley on the free agency market, the independent free agency, right? We know him on the independents. So I remember when I first heard that Dean Ambrose was coming on board to the WWE. Oh, wow, this is fantastic. This is going to be great. He signed a developmental deal. Sweet. This is going to be badass. And I know for a fact that if we were to poll you guys from way back when he joined the WWE, and basically it was he, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and they came up as the Shield, I bet if we polled you all right now, a lot of you all back then, when you saw those three, we were to poll you guys now and ask you, hey, what did you think when you first saw the three of these guys back when they were doing the early incarnation of the Shield? Out of those three, who did you think was going to be the most successful of the trio when eventually they were going to break off into singles runs? You knew it was going to be happening. Good looking guys, nice chemistry that seems to be going on. Every single one of these guys has their own unique personality that they put out there in which the fans can connect with so well. Which one of these guys do you think is going to be that bona fide star? And I remember vividly, myself, coworkers, colleagues, friends, at the time, early Shield, we'd look and we'd say, oh, well, I'm telling you, that Dean Ambrose, he looks like he's definitely going to be going places. And for a lot of us, we judge and came to that assumption just from what we saw of his work prior to WWE. So there were definitely a lot of us, myself included at the very top of that list, that was expecting very big things for Dean Ambrose in the WWE. Second place would go to Roman Reigns, as far as, okay, well, who's going to be the odd man out? Who's going to be ice cold? Who's maybe ultimately, you're better in a tag team, honestly. But it may be a situation where you could possibly get a pink slip. Seth Rollins, there were a lot of people that felt that way back when. Might be a little bit crazy to hear for you newer fans, but that's how a lot of us were looking at it back then when it came to evaluating the trio early on. And yeah, granted, Dean Ambrose, he became a WWE champion. He won an Intercontinental title won the tag belts on 2 occasions, but when it's all said and done, everything has felt very lackluster during his tenure in the WWE. Yeah, his greatest moment was definitely when he was with the Shield. And then when he broke away from that and he started doing the whole Dean Ambrose, the insane asylum, it was, oh, okay, so he is supposed to kind of like be this loose cannon. Remember, early on, they made the references to the late loose cannon, Brian Pillman. And by the way, his son is doing a phenomenal job in continuing that legacy. I gotta say, he's doing a phenomenal job. Best of luck to you, young man. But Dean Ambrose doing that whole loose cannon, he's crazy and all that, he really was not quite living up to what we saw of him before WWE. Now look, if you were to ask me straight up, hey, well, hey Lee, what do you want to see? Look, I'm not saying give me exactly the guy that I saw on the Independents. I don't want to see that guy and putting himself in serious harm's way and risking injury. I don't want to see that guy. That is just too crazy, right? And that would just be too squirmish for a WWE audience. But if we can somehow get that character back just in the realm of the WWE universe, push the envelope without crossing that line, but just do enough to make it very entertaining, very captivating, very mesmerizing. Fans will be eating it up. I thought for sure that amongst all of the writers that the WWE has, amongst all of the creative talents that's there at the disposal of the McMahon family, that it was possible to get this young man where he needed to be. And sadly, we saw with that early incarnation of the loose cannon, it just really wasn't going anywhere. I would have to say one of the moments that I started to cringe and just go, yeah, this whole loose cannon, it ain't going anywhere. I remember there was an infamous episode. I don't know if it was Raw or SmackDown, but I remember there was one infamous episode where he was talking to a mop. And it was shades of Perry Saturn. And I just thought it was the most stupidest goddamn thing I saw in my entire life. And I was not picking up oh my God, this guy is crazy. He is cray-cray. Watch out. He's a dangerous man. You don't want to get around him because he might just bite you. I wasn't getting that vibe whatsoever from Dean Ambrose. Instead, I was getting this very quirky, well, look at me, I'm the cool guy with the shaggy hair in the stubble, and I'm gonna do these weird things where I'm gonna talk to a mop, and I'm gonna talk to an imaginary friend, and I have a leather jacket, and this cool pair of jeans. I want you to look at me as a badass. It was, wait a minute, huh? And then the other thing that really sealed the deal for me, and I'm sure this is on the tip of the tongue of many, many fans, the infamous Stone Cold podcast episode on the WWE Network, of which Dean Ambrose had appeared. He was the WWE champion. And you want to talk about, all right, young man, the spotlight is now on you. You're the man. You have been given the opportunity. You've been given the ball. You are representing the company. Let's see what you can do with this. Make it happen. And boy, I tell you, if ever there was an interview that I could just go back and look at and just approach it from a PR standpoint, just approach it from a media standpoint as far as the do's and the don'ts, I would use that Dean Ambrose Stone Cold podcast interview, episode, whatever you want to call it. I would use that to encourage up-and-coming talents. Here, these are the do's and don'ts. Take notes. And we just watched Dean Ambrose crumble right before our very eyes. You all remember the awkward promo that he had cut on Stone Cold, and Stone Cold is looking on at this young man as if, of all the promos you could cut, son, that is the best one that you can come up with. And remember, Stone Cold was saying to Dean, give me your best promo. Go ahead. Give me your best shot. And you were like, oh my God, really? This is the best that Dean can do? Seriously? That did more harm to him than good. And the thing that we need to remember is when the Stone Cold podcast was airing, at that point, it was live. That's the other thing that you guys need to remember. So for those of you that may be saying, well, how could this pass? How was this able to get on the network without them doing some serious editing, without Vince McMahon saying, hey, no, we're not going to let this go because it's making Dean look like so-and-so? Well, back then, the Stone Cold podcast came on live after key pay-per-views, after key episodes of Raw. And in this particular instance, it came on live. And I remember we did the podcast, I want to say that very night. As a matter of fact, you should be able to find it on the YouTube channel. And just type RCWR Show, Stone Cold Podcast, Dean Ambrose. And you should be able to find the review that way. And I remember I was not that kind of how that interview was conducted, and that pretty much shortly afterwards, I think one of the last Stone Cold podcast episodes that Steve Austin did was something involving Paige, and I want to say maybe that was it. I remember there was a Brock Lesnar, there was a Paige, but I think that was it. They basically tried to give Steve Austin more safer cats to interview. And I remember myself and many other colleagues, we said, you know what, that is the episode that was the kiss of death for Dean Ambrose. As far as him being a WWE champion goes, that is it for him. Sorry, folks. And I remember there were so many of us that was catching heat. There were a lot of fans that were, oh, you guys, you're overreacting. You're being too oversensitive about this. You guys are just being assholes. And, last thing that I can't speak for my other colleagues, but the last thing I want is to see a situation where somebody that I have a lot of respect for and you have a lot of respect for, the last thing I want to see is them get a D-push, if you want to call it that, or, all right, you're no longer the champion because whatever, right? That's the last thing I want to see. But at the same time, what I offer when I talk about a wrestler, it's never anything personal. Never. Anytime I have some type of constructive criticism about a wrestler, it is never about what is going on in their personal life, unless it's something extreme like what went down with the Hulkster or Jimmy Snuka. Unless it's something like that, 99.9% of the time, I am particularly homing in on what's going on with that talent in the ring, what I'm seeing of them on TV, pay-per-view events, all that jazz. So for me, it's never personal. I always just speak upon things from a business standpoint. And for me, that was the kiss of death, what we saw. And you saw shortly after that, he did lose the WWE Championship. And it just seemed as though Dean has just kind of just been there, just been floating there. And yeah, you could pretty much say he's been a slightly upper mid-carder at best, won the United States title there a couple of times. Also got to make sure we slide that in there. But it seemed as though his greatest claim to fame was what he did with the Shield. And what probably should have been a blessing for him in disguise was when he got injured. A lot of us were under the impression, okay, well, you know what? That injury that Dean Ambrose has sustained, oh man, that's pretty bad. Okay, he's going to be out for a little bit, but you know what? Even though he's now gone for a little bit, hey, he's going to be able to use this time and he's going to be able to rest up, get in the best shape humanly possible. Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I believe he was dealing with some type of a elbow injury, some type of a shoulder injury of that nature. So he was gone for a little bit. And I know I felt very optimistic about him because I said, okay, this is a blessing in disguise because he's been exposed so much that, you know, it's kind of hard to freshen him up a little bit. So, all right, this injury happening. Okay, this is actually a good thing that WWE can use to their advantage and help refreshen his character a little bit, repackage him a little bit, and we'll see what happens from there. But this is a great opportunity for it to go down. So he's gone for a series of months, and then by the time he comes back, remember, this is after spending about nearly 9 months recovering from an injury that kept him off TV. We finally see him come back, and when we first see him, we're thinking, oh, Triple H. He had to do a double take, and oh, that's actually Dean Ambrose. Dean is back, he's ripped, he's in the best shape of his entire professional wrestling career. The best shape possible. This guy looks like $1,000,000. And you're like, okay. And you had that period where for several weeks he was not talking. There was some type of a mystique that was going on with him. And when you looked in his eyes, he looked as though he was ready to snap at any moment. And I was very intrigued with what was going to be happening with that Dean Ambrose. I wanted to know what's going on. What's going on with Dean? Why isn't he talking? You know, what's up? And that was a good running gag for a couple of weeks, and then they finally started having him say a little something here and there, and then eventually it was, oh, back to the usual Dean Ambrose. And it was, come on now. And then to make matters worse, you hurt this guy even more by giving him the most look, on paper, it may sound good, but as far as the execution, and this is what I don't understand. What may sound good on paper, and I would just love to know this from either current WWE superstars or former WWE superstars. When there is talk about tweaking your character, do they give you time to rehearse for a couple of weeks? Because I'm looking at how eventually Dean became Bane Ambrose. I can't help but wonder, okay, so when was this decision made? And when did Dean know about it? And did Dean have enough of an opportunity to try and find his way into this new gimmick? Was he making suggestions as well on how they can try to improve upon it even more? What's the 411? Because here we have this situation where he comes out with this ridiculous mask and he's talking much like Batman to Bane. Gotham is yours. It belongs to you, the people. You know, he's talking like that, and you're going, my God, take the fucking mask off, dude. It was the stupidest thing. Make matters worse, you give him the most ridiculous entrance, right? You got the freaking fire alarms going off, and I don't know if I need to grab my personal belongings and make sure my my phone is on me, because apparently there's a fire and we need to evacuate the arena ASAP and get outside to safety or what. And then you hear the freaking music after the sirens go off a couple of times. You go, oh, that's actually somebody's intro? Why? Why is that somebody's intro? The last little glimmer of hope when he attacked Seth Rollins the night that they had won the tag titles on that infamous episode of Raw. Roman Reigns announced that he had leukemia. You know, everything leading up to the Bane Ambrose. We thought for sure that with that crazy look in Dean Ambrose's eyes, the fact that he really wasn't talking like that, and when he attacked Seth Rollins, that for a lot of us, we were really pushing hard. We thought that was it. That was like a magical moment that would just propel Dean to that next level. But they started to have cracks in the foundation as far as, okay, Dean, why did you do what you do? Why did you attack your fellow brother? And all of that was just very, very shaking, even leading up to, what is it? They faced off this go around, what, like twice or something like that? I know the one match that they had where Seth Rollins was apologizing, that was a shit match. And that was mainly a shit match because it should have been a brawl. It should never had been a wrestling match where they're trying to be technical with each other, right? If this guy has hurt you that bad, and you've been demanding answers, and every single time this dude has gotten an opportunity, he has owned your ass from behind or whatever. He's been playing mind games, whatever. At this point, as soon as he is across from you in the ring, you're ready to get your hands on him and choke him the hell out. For real? Right? So the fact that the match didn't even play out the way that it was supposed to, just all of these things culminate into what we have going on right now. I appreciate WWE trying to get Renee Young involved, but every single time you turn around week after week, Corey Graves, Michael Cole, well, Renee, you know him very well. What's going on? And Renee's just, I don't know. I don't know. I was on this very show after she said that for possibly the 5th consecutive week. And I said, WWE, look, from a creative standpoint, we know that Renee Young and Dean Ambrose are married. You all acknowledged it some months back. Okay, so it's okay to say the M word. You all are acting like you're trying to dodge saying the K word, kill, right? It's okay to say the word married. But don't have Renee Young be out there looking like some goof. I don't know. Just one time, have her say, hey, I had a personal talk with Dean, and there is one rule. There's a few, but it's a short list, just a handful. But at the very top, when it comes to his business in the ring, we do not talk about that. We do not talk about what's going on with his beef with whomever. When we are on our personal time away from WWE, it is just all about us. It's all about the family. That's it. So I try, trust me guys, I try to pry, but I can't get anything out of him. I wish I had something for you guys, but he just won't go there with me. If I had any more I could tell you, trust me, I definitely would. Sometimes I kind of can't help but wonder if she might have been able to help him a little bit more by possibly being a valet or something of that nature, So it's very, very sad how everything has just culminated to where it is right now. And I've always been a firm believer that when it comes to what the creative department, the writers are able to do for that superstar, the creative has 50% of the responsibility, right? And the other 50% is on that talent to go out there and execute it as best as humanly possible. Now, Dean Ambrose had revealed a little something during that Stone Cold interview, which lets you know what's going on with the WWE. And it's been a recurring theme over the years from talents that have worked there, and they're working in other promotions, some as we speak right now, which is, hey, no, WWE, they've got you reading these pages upon pages. Everything is very restricted. You can't just go out there and you can't just let the paint hit the canvas and just see what you can make out of it. No, it doesn't operate that way, sadly. And you hear so many people talk about, hey, it's great working at ROH or New Japan or at Impact Wrestling because the creative freedom, I'm allowed to go out there, be myself, I can explore. And that's one thing that Dean Ambrose did home in on with his conversation with Austin, which is, hey, I hear the fans, trust me, I understand, but my hands are tied. There's only but so much I can do. What was the infamous sentence that he said during the Stone Cold podcast? I am in a sandbox playing with somebody else's toys. I believe that's the phrasing that he used. Somebody can definitely come on back and refresh my memory and everybody else with regards to that. But he pretty much was letting you know, hey, my hands are tied as far as how much I can say and do. So look, at the situation that we're at right now, as far as how things are possibly going to be ending with Dean Ambrose, I would like to believe that it could be a situation where maybe, just maybe, I'm going out on a limb here, but based on what we had saw from Monday Night Raw, it's very well possible that Dean Ambrose could have a send-off at WrestleMania by losing at WrestleMania at the hands of Nia Jax. There's that part of me that believes, okay, well, if Dean is crazy and all of this other stuff, why do that spot with Nia Jax? Of everybody that you could have, right? Why would you have Nia Jax cross paths with Dean Ambrose like that? And then you have the WWE.com exclusive where they followed up with him. I forgot who the backstage interviewer was, but they basically were trying to get his thoughts on what had happened with his exchange with Nia Jax, and he pretty much had talked about how he almost lost his cool and he was about to fight her, but hey, you know, she's a woman. Why would he fight a woman or whatnot, right? So that right there, it could be a storyline because you just look at the way everything was set up from Monday Night Raw so far, right? And we're getting ready to go into SmackDown. Okay, so look, from the Raw side, we know that Brock Lesnar is going to be fighting Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. We know that the way it's looking right now, it's safe to say that Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre may possibly have a tag team match against Braun Strowman and Kurt Angle. Looks like it really could go down that way. Elias, that's a wild card, but I hope that what was going on with Jeff Jarrett was a one-time deal, because if not, it's potentially looking as though it could be Jeff Jarrett facing Elias, and I'm really hoping it does not go in that direction, because as much as I appreciate Jeff Jarrett, I've had him on the show a couple of times. He's always been a great guest. I do appreciate the positive contributions that he's made to the business. I do recognize there was some bad, but I do recognize the positives that he did bring into the industry, let alone TNA, you know, all the way up to what it is today, give or take. There is also that part of me that does not want to see him in a match against Elias. I just feel that it is... sadly, there's not that many people that's going to be able to really register with that Jeff Jarrett. Not that version. The diehards maybe, but if it was a situation where we're getting Jeff Jarrett, we're getting the guy that is responsible for AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and others being in the WWE because of what he was able to do with TNA. And there's no problem with recognizing TNA because TNA is no more. Now it's just Impact Wrestling. So if you were to go maybe in that direction, then okay, I would say you have a little something there. But if we're just going to keep getting the JARRETT, Jeff Jarrett, if we're just going to keep getting that with My Baby Tonight, some song from the 90s, then that's not really going to be enough to entice people. People are going to be sitting on their hands at WrestleMania, patiently waiting until the match is over, right? So unless you don't go with Ambrose taking on Nia, right, for your first ever intergender match in the WWE in modern time, unless you're not going to go in that direction, could you maybe have Elias face Dean Ambrose at Mania? You could definitely go in that direction. So there's a lot that's going to be going on. I wish it could be a situation where, since this guy is on his way out the door, I really would love if he could kind of have a CM Punk moment and really just cut loose, really just be himself and given total free creative control and just have fun, go out there and see what sticks and all that. But I just don't feel WWE is going to be going that route, because all of those responsibilities to the sponsors, and they're trying very hard to be a family-oriented program these days. They really aren't that keen on pushing the envelope a little bit. Maybe for pay-per-views is one thing, but to really try to push that envelope on TV, I sadly just don't see that really happening of the magnitude that we would like. And it's so interesting too, because when you really stop and think about the whole infamous pipe bomb, WWE was years removed being a publicly traded company, already trying to reach out to key demographics, trying to be a little bit family oriented or whatnot. But there was a certain aura, there was a certain mystique that CM Punk was able to bring, where not only did he have the hardcore wrestling fans locked in, but those casuals. He had those casual wrestling fans coming to check him out every single damn week. And I gotta admit, early on, when I first had looked at Dean Ambrose, I thought maybe he could kind of follow in those footsteps of a Punk. And it has been disappointing what's been happening with him so far. And look, I already know we're going to have a boatload of people that's going to be saying, oh, well, as far as where's he going to go now? You know, look, I'm not going to focus on all that. I just can say at this point, any promotion that is fortunate enough to acquire his services, it's going to be very good for their respected business. Because despite all the stuff that's been going on during his tenure in the WWE, he is still a good commodity. He still has a large fan base that's going to be following him, seeing everything that he does. Okay, so it really doesn't matter to me which promotion he hooks up with. You know, I think if he's going to continue to get into this whole world of professional wrestling, and I feel that he is. I mean, look, he spent 9 months rehabbing and getting in the best shape of his life. I have a feeling that we have not seen the last of Jonathan in the ring. He will be wrestling elsewhere. But where that's going to be, only time will tell. But he has my respect, because here's a situation where, and I need to stress utmost respect, because here's a situation where this guy could easily, okay, I'm getting how much money? Okay. Hey, it's financial security, it's stability. I can plan my life better with my wife. Hey, if we want to have some kids, you know, no problem. I mean, he's coughing all of that up. Think about that. That speaks volumes. He is saying, forget just being complacent, falling in line, and just, no, I want more than this. There's got to be more to life than just this. So he has my utmost respect for jumping out there like that. You know, if we thought that maybe what we were hearing was just rumblings or rumor, you know, maybe we're going to get a swerve for WWE to just basically take command of this and put this on out there. Wow, is all I have to say. Hey, I want to know what you guys think of this bombshell piece of news. So sound off. Give me your comments below. Let me know what you think of this whole ordeal. What would you like to see happen with Dean next? You know, maybe what promotion you like to see him hook up with. You know, and I hope to a minimum we can kind of really just have the discussion be about your reactions to him wrapping things up with the WWE, as opposed to what promotion you like to see him go to. But I kind of have a feeling there's a lot of you guys, you like to go in that direction. But hopefully for a lot of the comments that are to come, we can, you know, really open this up more than just about, hey, this promotion, he should go there, blah, blah, blah. And we'll follow up on what you all have to say on next week's RCWR show. Hey, if it's your first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button, click on that like, click the bell notification so you never miss out on all future content that comes your way on a weekly basis. Multiple times we do uploads during the week, so always a little something for everybody. You can check out the show regularly Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. on YouTube, Spreaker, and live via the RCWR Show app. Again, Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, as soon as SmackDown goes off the air. And we come on live every single WWE pay-per-view event and special sporting events. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR Show. And until next go around, I'm wishing all of you all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you next go round. Everybody do take care.